Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another SPFBOX author interview panel. I am so excited to be back. This is now the 10th panel in the live. We are trying to bring Sam on as well, but we have TJ on, we have Ben on, we have David on, and we are here to talk about the self-published fantasy blog off and our books. Everybody on these panels, if you have not been catching them before and you're just like, what is this craziness? Everybody on the panels are part of the group of 300 authors who were selected randomly by Mark Lawrence for this year to be part of the self-published fantasy blog off. And what that is 300 books are split among 10 bloggers, and those brave souls have to pick a single winner over the course of the next 11 months, 12 months or so. I don't envy them, but I admire what they do. So if you guys are watching, thank you. But thank you all for joining. I'm so excited to get to meet you. David, I think we've chatted before, but this might be my first time.
Another one of your marathon live streams, which, you're in your 10th hour. How are you holding up?
Oh, good. The literal 10th hour here. The 10th live for the 10th hour. It all fits together. These are amazing and exciting. And this year, Mike and Ro from the Bald and Balding channel have been helping. So it's been a lot of fun. But for those who don't know you guys, they're seeing your names for the first time because of SPFBO. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how many times you've done SPFBO, and what your book is about. TJ, you want to kick us off and then we'll just go around the circle?
Sure. Well, I am TJ Claprote, and this is my first SPFBO and my first novel, actually. My novel is called Messengers of Ilbior. It's the first in a series, epic fantasy, YA to NA. We're basically working through, oh, thanks, David. That's awesome. We're basically working through a young woman's journey to find her own heritage and try to save her family while she's at it. And also dealing with a new love interest who is sundered from her by his own calling and his own journey. So we've got a little bit of multiple POV going on there with two main heroes.
And I'm sorry, Ben, I don't have your book to just pull out from nowhere. I feel like I've failed you.
Oh, he's I got it. Dual POV. I think we've got some multi-POV authors who've been on so far. So when we get later on in the live where we're talking about main characters, you got to pick which of the main characters you're going to tell us about. Give you some time to just think about it a little bit. Yeah, so Ben, welcome. Is this our first time chatting live?
It is our first time, and thank you very much for having us all on.
Oh, my pleasure. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your experience with SPFBO, and your book for this year.
Sure. My name's Ben Schenkman. This is my first SPFBO, and it is also, just like TJ, this is my debut novel. So my book is called My Boss is the Devil. It is the first in a series called The Devil You Know series, and it focuses on a young barista named Nick. Quick logline for it is that Nick trades his barista's apron for a suit in a deal with the devil, but deciding if the ends justify the means is going to require a lot of coffee. So it's a bit of a coming of age story. It's contemporary or urban fantasy, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how far I get, and also my fellow authors in SPFBO.
That's awesome! Hooray! And congratulations on your debut. That's exciting. So you're like brand new to the whole SPFBO thing. You've got your debut recently out, and then you're going to go ahead and throw it to the wolves. You're like, we're going to do this right from the start.
Why not?
Yeah. Well, I've just added your book to my TBR, so
hooray,
thank you very much.
And if anybody else watching is like, wait, these books sound really interesting, the links are in the description box if you're watching on YouTube. So that way they're quick to just click and grab the ones that you're like, oh, that must go on my crumbling TBR pile now. Sam, welcome. Good to have you on. Hopefully you can hear us.
Hi.
Oh, there you go.
Yay!
Hopefully, okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. So we are going around introducing ourselves and talking about how many times we've done SPFBO and talking about our books. David, why don't you tell us? I know we have chatted in the past, but not everybody who's watching has seen the past interviews we've done.
Yeah, you've done a ton of interviews. I would be impressed with anyone who can keep up with you. But yeah, my name's David Hopkins, and like TJ, like Ben, this is my first SPFBO. Now, is TJ going to come in with the copy? There we go. Awesome. But yeah, this is my book, The Dryad's Crown. It is a epic fantasy novel about a wood nymph who is taken from her forest home. She is raised in the city, unaware of who she is, what she can do, and the calling of her kind. So it is a multi-generational story that is kind of a sweeping adventure that follows this mother and daughter and this story of self-discovery. Now, this is my first SPFBO, but this is actually not my first one. It's not actually my first one to follow. SPFBO 9 was, I followed it very obsessively because some of my favorite indie authors came out of 9. And so I became a huge fan of the whole concept and decided that I needed to be part of it when I dragged my book into the light, which this is not my first novel, but it's my first fantasy novel. So we'll call it my first.
Yeah. Oh, I love all the first times. Here we go. First times all around the board. And Sam, we are trying to get Sam in. So Sam, if you're also watching the YouTube stream, thank you. We're trying to get you in. This is really a great year for panels, just with so many first-time authors coming in. And I've been asking every panel sort of whether they came into SPFBO with a strategy or not, because we have people who are like, I heard about it the day before and was like, I'm just going to throw my book in there. And that's what I did last year. Heard about it the week before, knew nothing, threw my book in there, and then was like, oh, if I do this again next year, I need to watch what I'm doing. But then we have people who knew about SPFBO. They've been saving up plans for a long time, because once your book goes to the bloggers, it's not that. That's not the end of the story like other contests. You've also got community. You got other authors you're meeting. You've got new readers who are picking up your books for the first time. So, Ben, why don't you start us this time? Do you have a strategy? What's your thought process going into SPFBO?
My strategy is to cross my fingers and hope I don't get eliminated in the first round. I mean, I didn't know you could have a strategy with SPFBO because it comes down to everyone's individual preferences. And if my book would make it to the semifinals in one blog, it doesn't mean it's going to make it in another blog. So I am one of the people who just heard about it probably 4 weeks before entries closed. So I didn't have a specific plan, but frankly, I didn't know that you could have one. So I'll be curious what other people's plans were.
Yeah, and you're in Lynn's book and the Critiquing Chemist blog, which
Yep.
is a blog where they are known to give really thoughtful reviews.
Oh.
Did you look at the blogs at all yet, or have you been like, I'm gonna just wait and see what happens?
I looked at them a bit. It's a little tricky because I don't know which of the two. So it's like some bloggers have teams. The group that I'm in is also just 2 blogs, so I don't know where my book is going to end up. So I've looked a bit at the kind of things that they read and review. So I stand a chance. We'll see.
Yeah. Does your book have alchemy in it?
No, I wouldn't say specifically it has alchemy. It does have a witch, and but the next one may be more up someone's feet if they're looking specifically for that.
So you don't have to worry about the critiquing chemist coming back and being like, this doesn't make logical sense.
Oh no! If anyone's looking for logical sense, they shouldn't know. My book makes plenty of logical sense, but it doesn't like test the bounds of chemistry or alchemy.
Yeah. So interesting all around, and that you don't have to have those in there to be selected by that blog.
I
But
hope
it's
not.
just interesting because we had somebody else on. So last year, someone was in their blog and made it to the finalists, the rival most vile. And then this year, I've already met someone on a different panel who does have alchemy as like a center piece of their book, who's also in their blog again. And I was like, that's a lot of pressure being like, oh, this is my day job. And then I'm in their blog with my fantasy book that I may or may not have researched all that well. Just been like, that's how it works. How about you, David? Any strategies going in this year?
Not really. I think I look at some of the what I would consider SPFBO successes. Not all of them were finalists. Not all of them were semifinalists. There have been some really great books that have come out that they really just did a good job of kind of taking all the opportunities that came to them. And so my strategy has really been just keep my ear to the ground. And when people offer opportunities to hop on live streams, say yes. When other bloggers who are not associated with the contest are showing interest in it, send them a copy of the book. I've put my audiobook on sale for the rest of May. So it's 99 cents on Spotify, Apple Music, and Barnes and Noble. And so I'm just putting the book on sale. I'll probably do an ebook sale later in the summer, just trying to get the book into as many people's hands as possible. And that's not to try and win, because I agree with Ben. I mean, depending on the mood, preferences, trends of books, hey, Alan, anything could happen. Ben and I tonally have very different books. And I think that it would be a delight to put his forward, just because it sounds like a really fun read. But I don't know what the temperament is of the blogger at the time that they're reading these books. So I think that I'm not going to say it's better, but I do like when I'm part of a group that has several bloggers that are all kind of weighing in, because you hope that it all sort of balances out versus just having one person who, they can be really objective, but it's going to be hard regardless. So I'm just taking advantage of getting to meet people, trying to promote my book, and hopefully it finds its audience through this process. And I'm really excited to see like who continues on. I'm looking at all the books right now, and I have ones that I think look really cool, but I'm still kind of checking them all out.
Yeah, and you're in Before We Go blog. And so they have that team approach too, where it's like we're going to split it up into like mini batches and then come back together. So it's going to be interesting to see. I like the team blog mentality because what might be one person's cup of tea may not be somebody else's cup of tea. And so it's like, well, then I've got 5, different opinions, or 4 different opinions, or 2 different opinions instead of just the 1, 2. TJ, you're in Critiquing Chemist with Ben, right?
Yes.
So no pressure in here. The community is great. That's one of the things I love. It's like we can be in the same blog and still be, yay, I love your book. The book is awesome. As long as one of these great books wins, I'm happy. But tell us a little bit about you and your strategy this year and whether you've looked at the blog much.
Well, I'm not really sure I should admit this, but I became aware that SPFBO existed 2 hours before the window closed. And I saw it, it kind of blew up on my social media, all these authors submitting, like, what is this? What is this? And so I found it. I was like, well, okay. But since becoming part of this community, and that's what I love about this competition, is that it truly is a community, that in order to promote our own books and promote one another's books, we need to be aware of one another. We need to be talking to one another, kind of, making an indie publishing industry of our own. And I really see SPFBO as being part of that effort. And that's what I love the most about it. Of course, I hope Messengers of Ilbior does well. I don't know how to judge how it will do. So I'm proud of my book, and I gave them the best that I've got. So we'll see what happens.
I think TJ brings up a good point, which is, you look at your book and you see the reviews, and even if your book doesn't go on, you can go, you know what? I think I've written a good book, and who knows how many books I will write before I ship off over the Rainbow Bridge, But like if I can say that I've written a few good books, that's great. I'm happy.
Yeah. And SK is not going to be able to join us. Their system is just not having it tonight. So I'm going to take a second, and I don't usually do these in the panels, but I wanted to give SK a shout out. SK is also in Critiquing Chemists and Lynn's Books blog with Ben, with TJ, and their book is Sidetracked. And this is mostly about a college student, which I love a good new adult fantasy, but it's also got some elements of reworked classic tropes that I love. This is one that's on my TBR list, but it's got a feline shifter, which is a nice switch to, the wolf shifters. And the link to this book is also in the description box. So even though SK couldn't make it onto the live, please show SK some love and go check out their book. Oh, thank you so much, RA's on. Congrats on getting your books down for SPFBO. Good luck in the rounds. Howdy, y'all. Mike is on. Balding is on. So, talking about characters, we just talked a little bit about SK's doing that twist of a new adult college student style book. We saw a lot of character-driven books make it to the final list in SPFBO 9, and that has spurred this conversation going into SPFBO 10 of telling us about your main character. What kind of character are we following into your book, and what are sort of their goals and stakes? You don't have to give us the answers, obviously. We don't want the spoilers. We want to read it, but tell us about the character a little bit. David, you want to start us off?
Sure. I mean, I have a multi-POV story. It's multi-generational. It follows mostly a mother and a daughter, but there are other people as well. But I'll talk about the mother, Silbury. Silbury, the thing that I like about this character is a lot of readers, when they get through the Dryad's Crown, have very complicated feelings about the main character. Is she a good mother? No, not particularly. Does she do good things? No, not particularly. But we understand why she is the way that she is. We understand her past. She goes on a journey where she is really trying to figure herself out, but also figure out where she kind of belongs. It's a story of her recovering from grief, coming to terms with all this. And so it's a very complicated story. And I think the thing that I really enjoy about it is that a reader can put the book down and say, I enjoyed the book. I still haven't made my mind up about the main character. She is one that I feel like she just kind of twists at people a little bit. And I think that is, if you like a story with characters that aren't necessarily, very simple, they come to you kind of complex and wrapped with baggage. I think that this is going to be a good book for you.
Got some throwdown in the chat from NJ. Just talking about how supportive the community is, NJ, and you bring the competition up in here. Joking, of course. Yes. I hope we all go far. I love this competition so much. I think that's the only thing that got me to throw another book in the ring this year. I was out very early last year, and it was still so much fun following everybody's books and doing the SPFBO news and hearing what was going on. And by the end, the finalists were just amazing. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad that they won. Because it's such a good representation of indie books. Like you were saying, TJ, it's really Rising Tide brings all of our books up and showing off that quality that's there that rivals a trad published book, but without the boundaries on some of the content, just makes it beautiful. So tell us, you told us earlier that you have a multi POV book. So who are you going to tell us about tonight?
Well, I'd like to tell you about Alanda, my female POV. What I really love about this character is she never decides to do what is easy, ever. She is born afflicted with albinism. That's not a spoiler. It's right there. And yet she chooses a career path that keeps her out of doors at all times. Her entire life gets turned upside down right when she thinks she's got it all figured out. And instead of doing what everybody suggests that she does, she goes on a separate path because she sees it as her duty and her responsibility to answer these questions about her destiny, her heritage, and without adding any spoilers, what's going to happen to her little brother. And so it's just for her, it's all about family. It's all about doing the right thing. She doesn't always make the right choices. And I love that about her too. But she's a fighter, and I love to see the powerful, women and men in literature, but particularly that quiet kind of power. She'll never pick up a sword, but she has kind of a quiet endurance that I really love about her.
I love that I don't have to be pointy to be a strong main character. I do love pointy, strong female main characters, but it's nice to also see, okay, there's strength in other ways, to be sure. How about you, Ben? What kind of main character are we picking up with your book?
Yeah, so I'm going to be the outlier here. This book, so My Boss is the Devil has one POV. There's one main character, and that is Nick, who is our young barista. Nick is a college dropout. He has a deep-seated desire to do something meaningful with the absolute inability to get out of his own way and figure out how to do that. And spoiler alert, it's not a spoiler. So he gets an opportunity to go work for the devil because there's something in him that shows promise, and he gets an opportunity to try that out. And my books really focus on character development and character-driven plot. And this book is really about Nick's journey to understand what really is good, what really is evil. Is it what we think it is? And it ends up surprising him that he gets the opportunity to do things the way that he does. So it's, does power corrupt, or is it a vehicle? But yeah, it's from that perspective of a guy who just really would love to have done something meaningful and found himself working as a barista in downtown New Haven, Connecticut for X number of years.
That's awesome. So we've got a lot of the strength lies within characters represented here tonight. not just pointiness and all of that. And I think that's a really interesting. See, now you've piqued the dark fantasy reader in me a little bit, even though I don't know that yours is necessarily all that dark. In that that thought process that goes into, is it that power is what corrupts, or is it that the people who manage to obtain it are corrupt people before they get it? Love a good morally questionable thing in a book. It's like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it is on the cozier side of things. There are stakes. There just aren't world-ending stakes. So, it is not a dark fantasy. There's plenty of humor. Everyone's a bit sarcastic.
And that's fine. I love it. Nice broad stretch of fantasy represented in SPFBO. Something for everybody. Talking about our books, though, and what readers can expect, I thought last year after our panels, there were a lot of questions about just how many authors are going to keep writing. Because sometimes there's this connotation with indie that, oh, well, I pick up this first in series and then it's not going to be done. And so they hesitate to pick it up. So this year I've been asking authors, what can readers expect from you as far as if they pick up this book, especially if it's a standalone, do you plan to write more? How long do you think it's going to be before there's another book, if you know? Just a little bit of that. TJ, what do you got going for yours?
Well, Messengers of Ildior is the first in the Legends of Ildior saga. Legends is currently slated to be 5 full-length novels as well as 4 ancillary novellas, with 1 novella and 1 novel each year. So that's the current plan for Legends, and at the moment we're on track, so I'm hopeful.
I'm excited. I love duos. I love novellas. Ah, yes. Because then it's like I get just enough to make me go, yes, bring me the next novel, and then novel. And then you have 2 anthologies, novellas, and then the novels, and then a giant, beautiful omnibus of everything with a Kickstarter. Broadcasting, just thinking, oh, please bring us this beautiful books. Love it though, TJ. Best of luck staying on track too. As I know you are driven, and the books looks amazing. So very excited to see what happens with your characters. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, so great question. This is the first in the Devil You Know series. The second book, which is titled Dueling Shoulder Angels, is actually coming out June 28th. So it's right here. I will, in fact, be asking all of my SPFBO friends to help on launch day to push it out as far as possible. I'm currently writing the 3rd book, which I expect to be published by October, if not sooner.
Wow.
And then that'll be the current end of the Devil You Know series, while I start writing 2 other new concepts. So I plan to have at least 5 books to my name in the next probably year and a half.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So you're going sort of the rapid release approach for yours. Like 1 is out, 2's about to come out. Right here is where it starts, and then you got 3 in the works for this fall.
Yeah, I think about 6 months ish. So I published the first one in December, and I had drafted the second one during NaNoWriMo in November, and so that's slated for release 6 months after, and then within 4-ish months, like I'm already at 60K on the 3rd novel, and they run about 75. So I'm on track.
That's awesome. And my best wishes to you. I struggled with a rapid release at the beginning of last year, and I had all 5 written, covers done, ready to go. And I was going to do 1 a month: January, February, March, April, May. January's went out, February's went out. I went to upload March, and the file was corrupted. And then I went to the source file, and the source file was corrupted. And then I went to the backup, and the backup was corrupted. So the whole series had to go on pause, and I'm rewriting the entire 3rd book.
Oh no.
So I'm always like, before you put the pre-orders up, just go ahead and upload the file at the same time. Don't be like me.
Save it in 3 places.
Oh, it's gut-wrenching. So I'm always so awed by the people who do it, who pull it off. I know it's a ton of work, but the readers love it too. It's like there's 2 aspects. There's the readers who love to be led along. Thus, we have George R.R. Martin fans, and then we have the readers who like, oh yes, I'm going to be getting a whole new series this year, and you're like, how do you have time to even read this? Yes, I'm right there. Hey, don't worry. I am a George R.R. Martin fan too, but I'm just like, every time there's a new Elden Ring announcement, I'm going, where's my last book? By the time it comes out, it's going to be glorious celebration or weeping or both. David, how about you? What can people expect if they pick up yours as far as other books you've written or are writing?
Yeah, I think my plan is kind of the identical to TJ's. It's the 4 chunky novels with 4 ancillary novellas in between. So each of the smaller novellas focuses on one of the characters within the story, one of the supporting characters. We get a little bit more of their life. The novellas are also a nice time for me to kind of explore different formats, different styles. And then the novels are really part of the main storyline, Tales from Efre Uzel, which the first 4 books kind of cover that arc of it. And yeah, I just finished writing the second book, which is the novella War of the Hounds. And so that will be out this summer. And like Ben, I will be also encouraging all SPFBO participants, like, hey, if you like this book, here's this much smaller book that you can also get. It will be a freebie that people will be able to get when they sign up for my newsletter. And so that one I'll be getting out to people. It is actually an adaptation of Shakespeare's Henry V. And so that is something I just wanted to experiment with. I wanted to try an adaptation of The Bard. And then the next novella after that, I keep telling myself I'm going to do this just to kind of talk myself into it. I think the novella after that is going to be an epic poem. Iambic pentameter, yeah, it's going to be like a 50, 100-page poem that tells the story of Tom the Barber.
Whoa.
With the chunky novels in between. Yeah.
I cannot imagine writing poems
I can't
or
either.
even just, like small insert. I'm going, oh.
I don't know why I thought this was a good idea. I just, I was like, okay, the epic poem, I feel like there's maybe it's going to make a comeback.
So is it going to be like formatted like pictures, sort of going back to that old Alice in Wonderland feel where it's the poem and then it's like the picture of a cat on one page? Or
Oh, I wish I possibly, I don't know. I mean, it's still kind of a ways out, but right now my hope is just that I can write an iambic pentameter. That's really my goal. Is can I get the stresses correct when I do it?
all the other stuff can be fixed in post, you know?
Exactly.
100%. Well, thank you all so much for being here, for sharing about your books, for hopping on at 10 o'clock p.m. at night if you're in the U.S. or later, depending on what time zone you're in, to chat. I really do wish you all the best of luck, even though we're all in SPFBO together. I would love to see some of these amazing books we've met on these panels make it to the finalists. So wishing you all the best. And if you are tuning in late and you didn't grab any of the books yet, the links again are in the description box for all of these authors' books and SK who couldn't join. So please check them out. We will be back tomorrow morning, bright and early at 8:30 a.m. Central, to chat with a couple more SPFBO authors. So come back and meet more, and you can catch up on all the 35 plus you have missed on the SPFBO playlist. We're going to be doing the Blitz through Saturday. So a lot more people, and it's obviously too late for me to be talking. So take care, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.